Man, every time I think I'm done talking about PPP loans and PPP loan fraud, some new law or news story hits the headlines, and my previous videos on PPP loan fraud just start to blow up. So today I'm going to share with you a new law that the president just signed, and it is going to impact people who have fraudulently gotten PPP loans for years to come. So stick around, you're not going to want to miss this. So you heard right, I mentioned it before, my video all about a website called PPP Detective has been blowing up lately, and about a year before that I made another video on PPP loan fraud starting to bubble to the surface. Crazy stuff like people buying Lambos or people getting caught buying real estate, basically just making up documents and getting this federal money. But most recently, the president has signed into law a bill that is going to give the Justice Department more time to investigate and prosecute people who fraudulently collected government funds that were meant to relieve business owners during the COVID-19 pandemic and shutdowns. So specifically, what this bill says is instead of something like only 5 years of time for investigations on criminal charges or even civil enforcement fines, the Justice Department now has up to 10 years to investigate. I'm going to go ahead and throw it up on the screen right now. What the press release said: the American people deserve to know that their tax dollars are being spent as intended. My message to those cheats out there is this: you can't hide. We're going to find you. We're going to make you pay back what you stole and hold you accountable under law. So if you are new to this, I'll just kind of fill you in on the background. There was a lot of pressure in spring of 2020 to sign in these relief bills and just get money out there to sole proprietors, independent contractors, business owners, to help keep their heads basically above water. But because it was rushed out, there was banks, fintechs, websites that aren't really banks, but they kind of are the middleman for banks, that just flooded the market and didn't really check people's documentation. They just sort of said, okay, sounds good, and made sure they processed the money. Now, in all fairness, the banks got a cut from the government for processing all these and, of course, processing the forgiveness. And the fintechs got some money too. But essentially, because those guardrails were lowered, fraud started to seep in. And if you Google PPP loan fraud, you're going to see videos of people calling in the radio stations saying, oh yeah, I got a barbershop, a restaurant, and a daycare all out of my house. But when you look, they don't actually have those things. They were just kind of making that up. Now, so far what we've seen is a lot of big fish get caught. And what I mean by big fish are, I sort of mentioned it before. For example, there was a man in Alabama who just pled guilty to $1.2 million in PPP fraud. And then there's the story of a Hawaiian defense contractor pleading guilty to $22.8 million in defrauded funds. These stories, there's lots of stories. Things that were making the news were groups sharing information on Telegram, on WhatsApp. They actually started to pose as news media outlets and call into the SBA, to different lenders and banks, and find out exactly what was needed to then fleece the government for not $20,000, but we're talking tens of millions of hundreds of millions of dollars. For example, there was the California man. He opened up 27 different PPP loan applications and money laundered $27 million. And then there was the story of an Oklahoma trucking company. They admitted having over 100 PPP loans, getting something like $43.8 million in fraud money. And now I will say that some of the more recent headlines, they're not as tantalizing as maybe the ones of people buying Lambos or people getting arrested with a bunch of money in their house. Instead, it's tales of people, across state lines using, money laundering and wire fraud techniques to essentially get this money and send it from here to there. And slowly they're being tracked down. And there's even a website, I'll flash it on the screen right now. It's the ic3.gov, where if you know of an internet crime, you can send that complaint in, and the Treasury Department says that way scammers can be tracked down and arrested. All right, a couple of key takeaways. PPP loan fraud has been on my radar for a couple of years right now, because in the beginning it seemed like the rules were a little unclear. Maybe a few people might have made some honest mistakes, but over the course of the past couple of years, it has come to the surface that people were gaming the system. The presidency, the White House right now, is saying that they're going to take their sweet time, up to 10 years, tracking down these scammers, fraudsters, and prosecuting them to the fullest extent of the law. The one thing I want to note from my previous videos, this is common knowledge at this point, is that yes, you can find all the PPP loan information on a public website. It's public knowledge, public information. We're talking business names, loan amounts, even addresses sometimes. So in a lot of ways, that's kind of scary, but in some ways people are like, well, I'm glad the information's out there so that I know the way the money was used. And I should say too that video about like that website PPP Detective, I think it scared a lot of people, maybe even the creator of the site, because it has been shut down. As of today, I have linked it in my old video to a web archive, so it's not really functionable, but you can at least see what it looks like. But yeah, if you go to that website, PPP Detective, that's been shut down. Again, when I see a surge in the views from an old video, that website's probably getting a lot of traffic. And again, it had loan amounts, people's websites, addresses. So it seems like a lot of people are genuinely concerned and getting scared. Anyway, let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you see my face back here in another year, it's because there's more news about the ongoing PPP loan fraud. Maybe this will be the last video I make on it. I kind of hope so, but every once in a while it pokes its head back up. So if you see me again, I'll be here for you. Also, be sure to check out my website. It is full of resources on all the good money stuff too. We're talking about retirement, saving and investing, credit card travel, points, rewards, you name it. Also, if you stuck around this long, please drop a like for this video. It'll get that YouTube algorithm going, and consider subscribing if you're new. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.